So connectivities to resources and reaching resources remotely over the internet as a physical network or over the www as logical network providers, resources provider, services provider, environment or framework. There are actually a variety of methods and models via which we can reach such a destination, which is the remote physical connectivity or the logical, let's say, resources richness to reach. Via which actually we immediately go directly to the technical explanation. There are actually modes via which we get into the destination, via which we have actually direct connectivity to the resource. We talk about local networks, for example, to help us, sorry, to help us reach the resources in question. So the type of the type of the network we are in, it would give us the chance to specify that we are directly or not directly reaching the resource. Um, mainly when we talk about direct connection to the resource here at the end, the connection, whatever you're talking about, is to make us reach the destination, which is the resource in question. We are asking to open a website, we're asking to download a file, to upload the resource, to upload the file, to update something in on the internet or something like that, or even to use the cloud services and so on. So there is actually a characteristic of the network in question, which has to be actually covered. Otherwise, we'll not be able to fulfill. And the example of the direct connectivities, we are talking typically about broadband networks. Here, actually, we are talking about a capability via which we see a speed of internet, let's say, in our common sense, in our common speech, in our daily description. A broadband means actually actually a broadband is the characteristic, the capability, the capacity of the data to be transmitted either in the uplink or in the downlink. Means in the sense of whether we are uploading or downloading. So um, yeah, that's it. It's the capability of the transmission, the size of the data to be transmitted, and so on. We explained this actually when we discussed in chapter number 2, the networks. And for such reason for the direct connectivities, actually there is a security perspective, there is security measure that has to be taken in order to avoid disruptancy, to avoid any interferences, to avoid any interceptions, to avoid any kind of, let's say, denial of service, and so on. So for direct connectivity, the issues, they are more viewed, more impactful. Thus, it has to be taken care. So you have to be precautious in this context. Whenever you are dealing with a service directly, you have the framework for that. So you have to be precautious to whether the resources is correct, whether you are given the credentials in a safe environment through a safe interface, and so on. So precautious measures have to be taken. uh, from the models or the types that we can use, the physical actually connectivity that we can refer to get into the internet and into the WW is the dial-up. It is the very classical and the very uh, primitive way of getting connected to the internet. Actually, it is using the telephone network, the T5 cables, the very former T5 cables. If you recognize them very well, actually. Simply, we are using the RJ11. We are using the RJ11 jacks, RJ11, which are the very common landline telephone wires and connectors. So to get connected to the internet or to the www. So the dial-up, it is because of the use of the telephone network, and the telephone network using the T5 wires, and the T5 wires, they are connected to our device using the RJ11 connectors, let's say, or ports. Those are actually very primitive. Still, they are operating. Still up to date, they are operating because we cannot get to the internet nowadays at home without getting the, let's say, the digital box that the telecommunication company gives it to us. When you pay the 20 riyal to Amantel or to the Nawaz or whomever is giving you the access to the internet service provider, it will give you a digital box, and this digital box has to be connected to the telephone line. That telephone line is the T5. The port to be utilized is the RJ11. It has 4 pins inside. So that is the dial-up connectivity. That is the dial-up connectivity. But from there, from the digital box to your device, it is actually described differently. So regardless, the dial-up, it is using the telephone network to get into the internet or to the WW services. And since I was saying that it is a very primitive, it is a very primitive and is the initial status of the internet connectivity and the WW services delivery, 100% would be slow. It is not effective enough when we compare to nowadays connectivities. If we compare to this dial-up connectivity to what we see today, it's very slow, not slow, very slow. Other modes, actually, we use specific and dedicated lines, specific cables actually, to give us internet access. We need actually, at the end of the day, a specific line to be given us. A specific line means a specific wire to be given us the access to the internet and to the services, www, and so on. But the cable does not give internet, does not give this service to us. We need a modulator, demodulator, to change from the cable to our device, the signal, and to make our device send queries and requests from the device to the cable. So if we are using a specific line, there have to be actually modem to do the translation of the signal from the wire to our device to make our device understand what this, the signal is, and to translate what the device we are using is willing to send to the cable, so the modem, which is modulator, demodulator. It's it's like the switch or router that the augmented now gives it to us. Like I said, DSL, digital subscriber line. It is another model via which we see that we can get an access to the internet. But actually, this modem, its model. This model is the let's say it's up to date. Up to date, it is still very operated and it is very common because it's one of the very let's say respectful models. It is cheap with a high capacity, with a high actually coverage. It can give us a long range of coverage from the company to the consumer. In addition to, it gives us a wide band. It means it gives us a good speed. It can give us a good speed of download and upload, actually downlink and uplink. So since it is cheap, it is the very common. It's not the best, but it is one of the very adopted models via which we get connected to the internet and to the WW services, digital subscriber line. Still, we use the telephone lines only, but using a specific and dedicated, let's say, peripheral to give us access to the network. So that digital box that Omentel or now gives it to us, actually that connectivity is the DSL. And that digital box, it is the one responsible for making us be recognized as DSL users or consumers at the end. Because the same DSL, the same actually line used by the DSL is the same line used when we are connected as a dial-up. It's the same telephone line, but that is dial-up, very slow, let's say, and a little bit actually comparatively to the service, it is expensive, the dial-up, comparatively to the service given. It's very slow and weak service, but it is expensive to be successful, to be actually satisfied. When we compare it to the DSL, it is much more, actually this one is much more satisfying. It gives us a very high-end, acceptable, let's say, access speed, and with actually a very adequate prices. Satellite connectivity is actually, we have a very dedicated lines here, but this one actually is to be utilized for specific connectivities, like actually the very, uh, let's say, isolated areas where we do not have actually telephone lines, where we cannot have actually physical connectivities using the wires, the telephone lines, wires, or things like that, or the fiber optic or whatever. So we can use the satellite connectivities. Yes, we use just a simple dish to get us access to the internet. So simply like that. It is much more competitive when we compare to the DSL or any other uh, services. Why? Because it gives us, let's say, a direct connectivity with a respectful size of um, of the bandwidth. By the way, actually, I use the word bandwidth more than one time. What is the bandwidth of the broadband? Actually, the bandwidth actually is the size of the data, or the quantity of data to be transmitted per second. The quantity of data to be transmitted per second means when we say the internet is slow or fast, how we measure that? How much data we get or how much data we can send. This is it, the bandwidth. How much data we receive or how much data we send per second. Per second. That is the speed measurement. So it is the bandwidth. It's not a unit, but it is the speed. It is the technical term we can use to specify the speed or to describe the speed. We need a transceiver. We need a transceiver to achieve this satellite connectivity, in the sense of like we used the cable earlier, we need a modem to translate from the cable to the device, and vice versa. The same way here, to translate from the satellite to the device, we need a transceiver, and to send in and out, both directions. Absolutely. There is another technology that can give us satellite means actually if we can cover what distances we can cover. The whole globe, the whole Earth can be covered using satellites, and it is nowadays the whole globe is covered by internet using the satellites. If you want to have a satellite service everywhere in the world, you can get it, and this is valid today. Prices differ, but it is valid. There is another way we can get wireless connectivity to the internet remotely, very far, but not using the satellite, using the telecommunication company network. Means the telephone network also, but in a wireless mode. In a wireless mode. This is said wireless. Sorry, this is actually this technology is the WiMAX, wireless microwave access. Wireless microwave access. It is based on the radio signals that the telephone, the cellular, the mobile telephones uses, or the mobile telephones use. So this is another technology that gives us the internet access, but using landline network, not satellite. It's not satellite. This fixed wireless, it is not satellite. It uses the radio as a technology of transmission. The same network that the mobile cellular uses is the same network we can utilize to transmit data. So it's the internet. It is named WiMAX. Using the fiber as a technology, actually, this is a landline dedicated also another type of cabling network. So we use the fiber as a transmission media. The fiber actually has a characteristic of this type of wiring. It gives us a high bandwidth, means the size of the transmission and reception, it is much more bigger than when we compare to the DSL, digital subscriber line. This is another category of getting connected, but it's much more productive, yes, but it's much more expensive at the same time. It's not cheap. The other model actually can utilize to reach the internet also, or the www, is the cellulars. mobile telephony, through which using the smart device or personal digital assistants, PDAs, or tablets or whatever, to get to the services, which are the internet or the www. Summary of what we were discussing exactly. Dedicated lines also can give us and can share us uh, the access to the internet and to the www using the wireless fidelity. Wireless fidelity actually through a hotspot you can share. Whenever we go to an airport or to a public, let's say, mall, Lulu or Carrefour or whomever, we can get access to the internet. Why? Because we are sharing, and the owners, they are sharing with us an access to a hotspot. It's a point via which we can use public wireless access to the internet or to the www framework. This is said Wi-Fi, wireless fidelity. ISPs, they are actually the internet service providers. Oman, we talked about Omantel or the Nauras, they are the main providers. So the provider that for whenever you are willing to access to the internet in a continent, or sorry, in a country, you have to seek for a provider to give you an access. You not access by yourself. No, whomever is given the access, you utilize. That is said, an internet service provider, you have to specify the options you like in order to choose this or the other. There are features and characteristics and options given by each that through which you may either accept to go after or not. From the options here we talk about, but for example, are we going to go with the internet service provider number one or number two, company one or company two, or whatever, whomever? What are in plural? What are the characteristics? Actually, there are some group of options via which we can go to see and to compare the speed, the coverage area, technical support, what are the constraints, the prices that we can pay for this and the other. Those are very common points that we can go after. The speed, now you know technically what is it? It's the bandwidth. The coverage, does it cover long ranges or not? Does it cover the area you are in or not? Does it have a customer support later on if you have any problem? Is it successful in providing customer support to its clients now, in order to be, if I go with them and if I have a problem later on, they will support me and they will help me or not? This is another very important point. Limited constraints. Do they have any problem to serve me in my area or to serve me specific features, things like that? Do they have any problems, limitations? The price, whomever is absolutely, we need to seek for the best service with the lowest price. So those are common points that you have to consider whenever you go for an internet service provider. Technically speaking, those are the core criterions to choose or to go after to select an internet service provider. The configuration through which you have to, after actually choosing the internet service provider, you have to set up your device in order to get into the internet or to the www environment. Actually, you need to install the required access, let's say, peripherals from where you are going to get into the internet. If you are using a computer hardware, so you need to get an access point via which you install the hardware and the driver for the hardware. If you are using a mobile, for example, very simple and very common, the mobile device, you have to configure that. You have to receive an SMS to configure your device. So there is a professional installation via which you go in order to finish whatever you are willing to do, which is the try to get in to the service. The internet service provider will give you access, but to access you have to configure your device to access. The access you have, the access right you have, but you have to just finish the setup of your device. Okay. Any questions, please? Okay, you can surf the internet for your own purpose. You do not have to have a direct access to to reach the internet. Means you do not have to have a www or a direct connectivity to get into a resource. No, you may make a general search using any search engine. To use to make a search, you can use specific or let's say abstract keywords to indicate your topic of search. You may use a dictionary via which actually categorize whatever you are willing to search. Means, for example, you are willing to book a night flight ticket. You may use dedicated platforms via which you go to search for flights for tickets only. So dictionary of search. Or you may search specific resources, specific type of resources, music only, videos only, and so on. It's not mandatory to search specific dictionary like the YouTube, for example. You search for videos. No, you search for medias because on the internet and as a www service, YouTube is not the unique video provider. But you may go for specific and general search using specific keywords to search for a specific media. Exactly what we were saying. Strategies actually strategy via which you can go to finalize your search is by specifying the keywords actually in the sense if we use the Google as search engine, we may specify whatever we want to search for to facilitate the action. But in addition to that, for example, we use the Google to search the www.nizwa.com or nizwa.edu.om. This is a direct URL. So it would give us a result for sure, but it is better to use it. So it is better to use for a direct connectivity, not to search for it. So specifying the keywords to use in order to finalize your search is one of the criteria. It's one of the strategies that you go after to do a better search. Generally, actually, the search actually here, because we cannot talk about an author of a website, the search actually generally we can consider actually the search result by the grade of satisfaction, more or less. Are you satisfied with the results you are seeking for? If you are seeking for a book, absolutely, is it the one you search for or not? So this is clear. But if you are seeking for a website, generally, and nowadays I'm talking, you'll not see the author of the or the webmaster of the website. Why? Because it is one of the constraints. It is one of the privacy we are going to see at the end now. It is one of the privacy that it has to be covered and isolated. You'll not see it. But usually the grade and the evaluation of the search, it is based on the satisfaction. Are you satisfied with the results or not? Are you fulfilled with the result? Otherwise, you have to seek for a second and another resource, no more, no less. Okay. Services to be delivered, we know the email, and we describe the email in chapter number 5 and in chapter 2 also. What is the email? It's a messaging application, but from the messaging applications, we do not have only the email itself. We have instant messaging applications, which are another model of message and communication platforms. You send now, you receive now. Immediately you send, immediately they receive. So specifically, we are talking about about dedicated direct text messaging, or let's say even audio messaging or video messaging, things like that. Geolocalization systems, actually, it's one of the other services that you can refer to in order to use the internet. Use the internet for what? From the service is that to search by location. nearby what is available: restaurants, petrol stations, universities, restaurants, whatever you are searching for. So you may make a geolocation search, a geolocation localization, let's say, task or activity over the internet. You can do that. It's absolutely true. Yes, social media is another perspective via which you use the internet to refer to the social networks and social networking, in order to share whatever you have as resource, or to see the news and the news feeds. Forums and the voice over internet. Actually, the forums is one of the communication channels, also like the instant messaging and the emails. But this is actually a sort of a public platform via which you share your, let's say, thoughts, and you can receive replies, also responses. The voice over the internet protocol, the voice over the internet, it is the telephony to do over the internet. Do you think that the same phone you can do, for example, you want to call me 9999 in my mobile, what we're going to do? Yeah, take your mobile, type 9999, and you call me. Okay, this same call, but this call on your cellular, it is costly. You have to pay money for that, whether it's 50 pesos or 100 or 1 riyal, whatever the price is. It is with money. The task we can do the same. We can do a voice call using the internet network. So internet protocol, it is the identifier of every device in the computerized device. Every computer or every device that can get connected to the internet or to the network in general has to have an identifier. This identifier name is the internet protocol. It's a number, like the serial number, to specify what is the device address. So over those devices, we may make voice calls. Simply voice calls, making telephone calls. No more, no less. But not only voice, it has been ameliorated to give us video calls even. Yes, it can make video calls. Due to what? To the specificities of the computerized and digital devices. Yes, scenario which we can see. From those ameliorations to the voice over the internet is that we can do even video conferencing. What does it mean? We can do conference online, and we can do actually a share of video and audio, let's say, groups, remotely segregated. There will be face-to-face, absolutely. Face-to-face meetings means you can have a meeting like, but it's online, like we are doing now. We can share the videos, the cameras, absolutely. It is something like that. It is not only personal, but it can be also dedicated to. It can be dedicated to a professional scenario. Why? Because we can specify dedicated tasks to professionals and others to leisure activities and to the individuals. If I ask you the question now, can you just stop recording the video I'm doing now? You'll not be able. Why? Because we are as a corporate now connected to this Google Meet as corporate individuals. So there are tasks specified to each individual. We said that the social network and social media, it's one of the communication platforms via which you can go for the internet use or the WWU to share your thoughts, or to read the news feed. Yeah, process via which you can get those social media access. You have to follow the on-screen instructions whether to register or not, and if you are required to register, you have to do. Then after, you have to be logged in again and again whenever you are using the service. Then after, actually, you have to follow up the content of the social media. Why? Because it's not from your side. Whatever it is to be delivered, it is based on either the platform or the users. Yeah, you can use the social media, let's say, logins or tools to get into services. We saw that with the Amazon last class. You can use actually from the other services we can refer to use the internet is the shopping, which is to buy and sell both consumer to consumer model, or let's say business to consumer model, whatever you have to, whether you are going to buy or to sell your products, you can do that on the internet. Not only that, you can go for auctions in the sense of you can bid, you make bids to buy. If you give a price, if it's the highest, you get the product. Otherwise, you have to give another higher bid. So you can do that. You can you can do banking activities on the internet. Absolutely true. You can create a new bank account. You can check your bank account balance. You can do whatever. You can send transfer money and so on. For leisure, for leisure and entertainment, you can go for yes, the internet use absolutely so many activities you can do actually on the internet for your entertainment. Here we talk mainly the TV broadcasting and the let's say audio and video broadcasting. Yes, visualization. We can do for the entertainment and for the leisure only. We can do workouts. We can do sport, and we can follow channels that they provide sport and exercises to do at home. Now, for the let's say, for example, if you are in a corona case and you are staying at home for a long time, what you'll do from the things you can do is to do sport at home. You want to learn specific exercises and specific tasks, you can go for an online workout. You can use the internet for that. This is the very famous activity they can do for entertainment and leisure on the internet, which is the gaming. You may refer to play games on the internet either individually or in a multiplayer multiplayer actually uh, framework. But in all cases, you have to go for you can not you have you can go for gaming online. The news feed actually you may go for yes, you read in your respective newspapers and magazines online. Absolutely, you can do that. Actually, you can have your updates and you fix your device to receive your updates, your respective updates on regular basis. You can do that. Absolutely true. Uh, and this is actually a very competent, let's say, environment, which is the news online. Why? Because of its, when we compare to the regular paper-based, it is much more cheap and much more easier to reach. The archive is also available at any time, anywhere. The same way actually, like when we talk about the news feed to customize to be updated to you within your device in a regular basis, we may go beyond specific technologies to do so. Actually, how to make your device bring you the news in a regular basis without you serve directly to to the websites or to the news websites by certain specific tools to do that for you. From that, the RSS is the really simple syndication, which is a sort of updating tool. You just open the browser, it gives you news from Facebook, news from Twitter, news from CNN, news from BBC, and so on. Really simple syndication. It's a tool to help you reach the news simply. Simply here, actually, in the sense, without searching for the URL, without opening the browsers and getting the direct connection, and so on. The media, actually, for the entertainment, if you remember, we said that the music and the audio video diffusion is one of the major activities you can do on the internet, but at the same time, you can record your own on the internet, absolutely. You can play your own on the internet, absolutely. You can podcast your own on the internet, to share it on a social media or whatever, to share your thoughts, your activities with others for future for future actually uh, reference. And this regard only the context of the reference and the information available on the internet. It is to say that we have to say that there are actually non-profit values available anywhere, anytime, to be utilized by every and all the public community anytime. So it is not only to pay for the news or for the specific let's say services to get the service. No, there are available non-profit service providers that they give you the access to resources anywhere, anytime. Technologies we may use actually to access the internet, which is the last thing actually I'm gonna describe today, is the Internet of Things. It is the most, let's say, commonly utilized. Actually, everybody, all of us are using the smart devices to access to the internet, and all of us, all of our smart devices, they have very powerful capabilities to control the access to the internet and so on. They can communicate with strange devices. So the Internet of Things is actually the capability to make heterogeneous machines communicate. Not only smart devices. Smart devices, they are one of the examples. But we make our, for example, cellular mobile smart device connect to the AC air conditioner. How it happened? Because of the because of the heterogeneous communication. It is a machine-to-machine communication channel. The Internet of Things. Things. Thing. What is the thing? Anything. A cellular, a car, a computer, mobile, AC. Um, let's say a washing machine, a fridge. All of them they can be actually communicating all together. So those are things to be connected to the internet to communicate. Any questions, please? If you hear your name, please say yes. I'm going to stop the recording first.